This is for the men who are quietly gentlemen, quietly husbands, quietly brethren, quietly human. This is for the men whose black is deeper than skin, whose light is brighter than the glare of sin, whose gift is the power he holds within. This is for my men who walk by and don't know that I notice. Why, brother, yes, I took notice, and I'm here to put you on notice. This is for our men, colored by the depth of the rainbow's delight, color of my flank to my left and my right, the leader of the pack, the roar of the pride. Don't hide another day. Step up, my brother, my father, my son, my uncle, my friend, my cousin, my homie, my lover, my black man. You are black light. Let your soul so shine.
I think that a project like this is what it takes to change that narrative, create the platform, and then develop a mastery of that platform where we can actually express ourselves and communicate different grievances and issues from our perspective. And that is extremely important.
So I think we have an obligation to shift that narrative. And how we do that is by changing what has been the norm for us. And the norm has been this negative, obscured, unjust way of painting our lives.
It plays on the psyche of not only the community, but also the individuals when they see images of black men. Majority of the time, they portray the negative images of black men as opposed to the positive images of black men.
What's happened was we've taken a lot of those things and we turned them around because they were supposed to be for our detriment, but those things are for our good.
Thugs belong. So we're marketing as thugs. So there's a media conditioning now of the black man, and we have not mounted a counter narrative that's strong enough to undermine that.
Right.
Well, what we're seeing today is really a continuation of a mass media smear campaign that African Americans have had pretty much since their arrival in the Americas, or since the whole post-colonial colonial time period. So in America, one of the first things they started to do was work to separate the family institution, and which means the first thing that you do was separate the black man. Because if you think about this from a chess perspective, the most powerful piece on the board is by far the queen. Everybody knows that. The most powerful chess piece on the chessboard is your queen. But when you conquer the king, the game is over. So we have to understand, if you wanted this to be game over, you wanted to be lights out, you wanted this to be checkmate, then you had to conquer the king. So what you would see in situations and across the South were breeding farms, and in order to create new slaves. Now, what happened on those breeding farms? Well, they took a man, they took the woman, they separated them, and they kept the family apart. And this was really deep when I first learned about this on a tour in South Carolina. Then they would blindfold the man, they would blindfold the woman. They would bring the two together and they would copulate. Afterwards, they would separate them. So now the woman doesn't know who her father, the father of her child is. The man doesn't know who his child is. And so the baby doesn't know who the daddy is. And so they did this, why? Because if they knew, if that slave, if that man knew who his child was, there would be nothing that would stop him from fighting for his child. So the very first act in America was to separate and demolish the black family and to remove the black father from the lives of their child. When you look at what happened in Germany with Hitler and the Jews, what was the first thing that Hitler did? He started a mass media smear campaign against the Jewish population. And that was the part that allowed the rest of Europe to look at them and allow them to be treated like animals. They took their humanity in a smear campaign, which is why you can see a black man shot on the street, but you cannot see his dog shot on the street. you will show the violence towards a black man because he is less than human, and in some ways they're treating him less than animals. Right now in NFL, you see the outrage of Michael Vick. They are still litigating in the social media networks whether Michael Vick should be forgiven for hurting dogs. No question is wrong, no question that it's not appropriate, but he's paid his due to society. But today, we're saying it is okay. There's no outrage. George Zimmerman is releasing videos like Puff Daddy about how after he killed Trayvon Martin, and there's no similar outrage towards him as you have against Michael Vick for killing dogs. So killing an unarmed black teen in the streets, somehow he deserved it by the clothes he wore, by the outfit he wore, because somehow he was a threat. And we've seen this media campaign from the very beginning. When the very first movie put in film was Birth of a Nation.
In 1915, D.W. Griffith explodes a bombshell, The Birth of a Nation. It is perhaps the most potent film of all time. President Wilson says it is like writing history with lightning. But Griffith's history springs from his own boyhood in the Deep South. His film portrays Negroes as drunken louts or vicious subhuman beasts. And these scenes, condoning the hate-filled savagery of the Ku Klux Klan, caused nationwide controversy.
The whole purpose was to stimulate in our culture, in our society, an inherent fear of black men. If the black men in that movie were going around raping white women and killing people. That was the whole premise of the movie. And them, as a white, strong America, and the Ku Klux Klan being the heroes, came in and saved the day against these ravaging, animalistic black men. And that movie was so popular in this culture that it was actually screened at the White House. We have to understand that this is from the top levels of our society, the top levels of our country. We were seeing this type of imagery being pushed against black America. So what happened after that? If you are a black man and it made any overture whatsoever, you were being attacked. So Emmett Till supposedly was supposed to have flirted and whistled at a white woman. We see that he was beaten savagely as an animal to send a clear message to the world about what would happen. And you took a look at what happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Same thing. There was a little boy who supposedly had whistled at a white woman, and then they burned the whole town of Tulsa and Black Wall Street down. Why are they doing this? Because there was an inherent fear put out there by this mass media campaign against African American males. And I always tell people this: if black men were as dangerous as the media portrays us to be, there is no way George Zimmerman would still be alive. There is no way half of these people around here shooting unarmed black children would still be alive. We are far more dangerous to ourselves than anyone else in this country. We have not been the ones going out and causing mass revolts. We have not gone out and killed scores of white folks. We have not bombed white churches. We have not done those things that have been done to us repeatedly throughout this nation. Now we have to go back and create a public counter-narrative, which is why this project is so extremely important. We have to come out and say, we exist as black men. We are here as black men. We are substantial as black men. We are positive forces in our community as black men.
Dealing with the past, the ideology of those that are slave owners, that they pushed onto those people that were enslaved. It's funny because a lot of people don't realize that because there was a law enacted that slavery not be legal any longer, that does not mean the ideology of slavery ended with the enactment of that law. And as we do with great heirlooms and finances from generation to generation, ideologies, behaviors, those things are passed down from generation to generation. So for any of us to believe that racism in its rarest form has not been something that's passed down, we're fooling ourselves. But what I love about exuding the light means that, as my grandmother shared with me, as my grandfather taught me, my mom and dad, it was all about how you acted and how you thought of yourself, not what others thought of you. So it was always put out in the forefront, you know, there's a label out there for you. You get to decide whether you wear that label like garments or whether you take them and burn them up and you use that for fuel to be who you see yourself as being. So then people have no choice but to give you the honor for who you are instead of giving you the label that's been passed down from generation to generation.
Changing what has been the norm for us. And the norm has been this negative, obscured, unjust way of painting our lives in the picture for us to everyone. So the world sees us as one thing, but we have to take that story and shift it to something different. I think we become responsible in kind of just reevaluating our place in society and allowing ourselves to be put on the platform so we are seen in a positive light. I come here every day. I work as a discipline coordinator for elementary school. And every day is my goal to show them a positive male who's educated, who's articulate, and who dresses well, who smells good. I mean, believe it or not, that all matters. But also to show not just them as young black males, but to show my coworkers and peers that we're not all what you see on TV. We're not all, you know, out of housing or, you know, having, you know, 25 kids by 25 different women. Those are the images that sometimes people always praise up about black men. But there's some of us out here who are working hard every day, who are trying to make a living, who are building communities, who are building families. I think those are the important stories that we have to tell. And we're responsible for telling that story, to make sure these stories get told. The African proverb says, unless the lion writes his own story, the hunter will always get the glory. So we need to make sure we're writing our own stories and we're building that platform that can tell these stories on a positive light.
And they shall have no fear, reaching for their birthright, hands in the air, hearts of bronze, faces in place, moonlights. They have found solace in the silent recognition that they are able, even if only they know it. Princes of promise, reaching towards their source, hands in the air, hearts of bronze, faces in place, flashes, bright, turn to the left, now to the right. Little brother, big brother, oh, he is stronger than he may conceive. When he begins to believe, he will let the flash be his own. He will illuminate, expose, groan, birth, brazenly break every bind ever known that attempted to harness his light.
I am currently running for vice president for the Next Level Minority Male Mentoring Program on campus. I'm SGA president. I am a PCC trustee board member. I'm ex officio SGA representative. I am on the Student Activities Committee, Fund Request Committee, shortened for SAC. What else am I on? I am a Bruisers Crew mentor as well, and I'm in everything on campus. A Judicial Review Board member as well. So academic infractions and stuff like that, when they get appealed, I'm on the board for that as well to help in the decision-making process of some of those. I'm everywhere on campus. These roles are important to me because I have seen in the 19 going on 20 years that I've been alive, so many opportunities that many of my friends have just passed up completely because they felt like they weren't good enough. Because they've had somebody in their ear their whole entire life telling them, you can't do this. You can't be SJ president, you're black. They don't want you. You're too hood, you're too loose, you're too whatever. And I'm a part of these things to show that that's not always the case. You know what I'm saying? Like with me, I understand that in certain aspects of your life, certain situations you have to talk a certain way. When I'm around my friends, I talk completely different than how I do when I'm around maybe Dr. Massey, because I know where I'm at. And a lot of my friends know this too. They know how to conduct themselves, but they feel as though since so many people have told them, you can't, that's been instilled in their minds. And I took on these roles to show that you can break those barriers. It's not just, I needed the scholarship money. I did need the scholarship money for a lot of the stuff that I did, but it was more than that. It was, let me do something so I can inspire the next person after me to do the same thing. Because I know they have it in them. They're coachable, they're teachable. They want to do this. They have to see somebody else do it first.
I'm not fearful, because I know I can make a difference.
That's right.
You understand what I'm saying? So, if, like you said, you carry yourself in a certain way, you talk a certain way, you can view me however you want to view me, but I know who I am.
Right.
Now, I have a concern for my other brothers who, just because the way they dress, he might be a thug, but when you sit right here and talk to him, he's not. So what can I do? That's why I went into the school system. At my school, there's only 2 brothers like me there, 2 African American teachers.
I don't know, I always looked at my boys that I used to hang with, and they were smart, but they did dumb things. They didn't have a teacher in their life to say, hey, stop, don't do this. If they did, they didn't listen. So growing up and looking at that, I was like, man, I got to do something to at least help. I always felt like I needed to help somehow. I didn't think I would be a teacher, to be honest with you. I didn't start going to school to be a teacher. I went to school to be a computer engineer. And then somehow, you have to look at it like, you know what, I'm in this for the outcome of the kids, the outcome of us as people versus the income.
Wow.
So, I mean, I'm there because I know there's going to be that one young black boy, even that young Caucasian male that already may have a skewed view of us as African Americans. Because in my eyes, when I'm an educator, I don't look at the color, so to speak. I know that's kind of hard for me to say, but I try to really treat everybody being equal. Now, I have a couple of boys that, whereas another teacher, they may go ahead and write them up. But like you said with the statistics, nah, I can't do that. Let me talk to you. Look, I see you in me. When I was young, I was bad. I was always in trouble, and I was always cussing, fighting, and all that. They're trying to set you up. This is what you need to do. Listen to me. If you don't listen to me, I can't help you. I'm all you got right now until you get to the next grade. I'm still be on the same hall, but this is what you need to do. So that's another reason why I went into the education. If I can save at least 1 or 2 lives based off how I talk to them, how I love them, how hard I am on them at an early age, then by the time they get 18, 19, they won't be on probation. They won't be in jail, because maybe that one thing that I said 15 years ago, it will come back in their mind and be like, you know what, Mr. Willis, you was right. I'm glad I went the other way.
I also want to give back to the community. So with the degree that I'm pursuing now, which is business administration, I plan on opening a nonprofit kind of based around the same things that we do with Next Level, which will be an inner city outreach program geared to inner city minority males to give them a better outlook on what life is and what life is actually about, and how they can utilize a lot of the things that they have against them to their advantage and things of that nature. Give them a detour. Give them something so that they don't do the same thing that you did. If you can reach one person, you've done what you're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? You're that hero that somebody is looking for.
Well, for about the past 9 years, I've had my own company called J's on Q Design Company. And in cases of makeup artistry, I'm a clothing designer and I'm a photographer as well. Among quite a few other things that kind of mingle in and out, but that's pretty much what I do for a living.
So you're very creative.
Yes, very much so. I like to consider myself a Renaissance man because I'm a singer. I'm into instruments. You know, I paint. I do a little bit of everything when it comes to the arts. So.
Wow.
Then there's the other part where there's always this stigma about what you do and who you are and what kind of life you have and, you know, who you're with and that kind of thing. So it's always there. It's probably always going to be there. But I think the fact that I enjoy it, I'm definitely one of those people that love what I do. I love my work. I love how I do it. I love the people that I get to do it with. So anything else is just kind of extra. It's not something I really put a lot of energy into. Well, I say this all the time. I have a lot of guy friends and whatnot. They're not artists, or they may be musician friends and whatnot. And they see what I do. They know that I know a lot of women, a lot of beautiful women and whatnot. And I always get that question was, you know, well, could you teach me how to do that? You know, well, how did you learn how to do this? And you have so many women that you know, and you're always around all these women. It creates a different level of respect for women in general, because it's a personal relationship with a makeup artist and a woman that's coming in to get her makeup done, and that kind of trust is really hard to gain. I'm gearing my work more now towards something effective. The way that I do my photography, the clothes that I make, the materials I use, to gear it towards something. If for nothing else, to be one more representative of what it should look like and what it should be and what black men are actually capable of doing.
More and more of the negative images are portrayed of African American men. It plays on the psyche. And so if you can shift it from negative to positive, then the impact it could have would be positive. And what I mean by that is, if you could take some time to not harp on the negative images of black men in domestic violence or sexual assault or incarceration for either drugs, violence, and turn that around in images of black men in industry, black men that are entrepreneurs, black men who are fathers and husbands. It will portray an image that will help change not only the psyche of America, but also the image of black men that black men see from other black men. Sometimes I think that by unconsciously, you know, not unconsciously, but men are visual people. So whether it's on TV, at home, at church, or at school, or wherever that environment is, they kind of tend to take on the identity of that in which they absorb.
Being an individual who works in a unit currently that we probably have about 50 to 60 employees, and only maybe 5 of us are black, and 2 of us are black males. A lot of times the patient population is minority, but they're not being cared for by a minority. It creates a level of calm, in my opinion. It puts the patients, and particularly their loved ones, at a sense of ease. They're not under this false pretense that you know everything and you can fix it, but to see somebody whose shade is similar to theirs, whose walk of life is a street away from theirs, it makes them be able to connect and trust just a little better and a little easier. And it knocks down some walls, and you can actually, if you're as investigative or as you have this Nancy Drew spirit, as I call it, you can knock down some walls and pick up some clues and some things and learn some things that you wouldn't necessarily normally learn if the family didn't open up to you like that. In nursing school, even before I started nursing school, I started calling myself Sir Nurse. So I'm the type of person that I have to see it before I see it. So I started branding everything with Sir Nurse, my book bags, my sneakers, and a very close friend of mine who owns his own graphic design company gifted me my own brand, which is Sir Nurse t-shirts, which is a picture of me, of course, and my saying, "You better Google me," which is typically what I was known for through nursing school. A lot of times people may perceive you one way, but just telling somebody you better Google me is, you think you know, but you have no idea.
With the young guys that I work with, the students that I work with at the school, I definitely try to make sure they understand that they have the right to be young. They don't have to just suit up when they turn 21 and turn into this proper businessman that can't have fun anymore. But I have to teach them that they can't run from, I guess, they can't fear continuing to be themselves in certain arenas. They fear that if they continue to be themselves, then I guess they won't be able to evolve to the next step. Because when people come to them, they tell them they gotta be serious, they gotta this, that, and the third, but they still have the opportunity and the right to enjoy some of the things that they want to enjoy. They create the situation shouldn't create them, and that's what we try to teach them in the program. We try to teach them that you have to make it work for you. We give you the keys, and there's certain things that you have to do, but you don't have to run from yourself in order to get to this next level. You can make both of them work together. So,
one of my biggest triumphs is seeing the direction that my brand is going, and being able to open up my store, my shop, and just, you know, making myself proud, you know. Kind of really just defying the odds. As long as I can defy any odds, it's a good day for me, you know. As long as I can walk in here with my dreads and my Jordans and still say, you know, this is my LLC and this is that, and my, you know, really be about my business and defying those odds, every day's a win for me. Because as long as, you know, my peers see that and they relate to it and they feel a form of attachment to it, to if he can do it, I can do it, you know, and it gets them listening, and if I can get them listening, I can give them the information they need or the insight, the direction they may need that can, you know, save somebody.
Since we're on topic of fear, I think they use fear to control the connections within, because we're taught, once you reach a certain level, don't you go over there and hang with them knuckleheads, you know? So it's like once you get the info, you distance yourself. So it's hard to, you know, not hard, but we're taught to, once we get the info, you're not them no more. Don't go over that way. Wow. And I think you remember, like, when Jermaine first brought me in, that, what was it, business, Japan, I stood up, I said, I don't know why I'm here, like, you know.
I think it's important to have light of any form in our community because there's so much darkness and there's so easy to be sidetracked. So if I can be to my peers some form of light or some form of, you know, direction, I think that's big, I think that's dope, you know, because a lot of my peers or a lot of people, like, they're not stupid, they just don't have access to information. And I think the media controls my generation by controlling what information they give us, you know. It's a young man right now, probably no record, no felonies, walking around with illegal firearm, not knowing it takes just 5 minutes to fill out a form to, you know, do that the legal way. He don't know that because nobody told him that, you know. So the thing about it is, to have a connection to what you say you want to help, you have to still be tangible to it. You know, I could say the same thing somebody else is saying, but they don't relate to them. He's not tangible to them. At the end of the day, you talk all this and you probably go to your office or to your, like, I can't relate to you. I can relate to what I'm accustomed to. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's one of the major things, you know, and I think that's what Jermaine really does good. Like, does a good job with. He stays tangible. He stays. It's just not like when it come around, like, oh, there go Jermaine. I heard about him. I don't really know him. I'm like, you know, you just stay. It's, how am I explaining?
It's like remaining connected.
Yeah, remaining connected. Like,
you know what's happening there. Yeah.
Because a lot of times people get to a certain level where they don't really they don't have to do it, and it shows that once your moves are like so calculated that people know it's fake. Like, you know, when you line this up and this up, and then like they know like that was playing. Like, okay, he just down here because the mayor gonna be in the area or something. Like, you know, so once you just do it so much where they know it's true, like they relate to you more. They trust your advice, they trust your insight, you know.
I know as far as when I first got in the military, I didn't think that I was going to be in for 18 years, but I always told myself if I ever do 8 years, I'm going to go ahead and do 20 years. And I actually got in as a joke by joining in the military, but once I got in, started realizing, hey, I can adjust to anything, I just stayed with it. You really find who you really are. And then over the years, it had made me mature a whole lot, because there's one thing the military do teach is respect. That's one thing. Your parents, they can teach you respect all the time. That's up to you if you want to listen. But me, I listen to my parents all the time. But when it got to the military, you got different things. Like as far as the respect, right? Like the farther you go up in rank, the more people gonna respect you. But it's still how you carry yourself and how you treat others for you to get that respect. I know the old saying is, in order to get respect, you got to give respect. It's that same thing it is in the military side. You got to give respect in order to get respect. Because you as a leader, you're not just representing yourself. You're representing your unit, your battalion. You're representing your soldiers. So your soldiers need somebody they can actually come to and trust. So the way you present yourself is the way you're going to lead your soldiers. I just got a love for a lot of things, just giving back. I don't do stuff for publicity. I just do stuff because that's what's in me. That's one thing I learned over the years. The way you treat yourself, the way you treat others is going to be how you are. A lot of times I always sit back and I don't be trying to do stuff like for people to recognize me or to acknowledge what I do, but in due time, just sooner or later, the things you do get recognized, especially when you ain't looking for it. August 27th of this year, like I said, love to give back. I decided I took people's ideas and I combined them together as one. Got an idea. I know you host flag football tournaments. You ever done one with like a back to school? I was like, no. So I took that idea, combined it with the flag football tournament. Somebody else was like, well, why don't you have a Mustang club come out as support? Okay. So I took everybody's idea and combined it as one, and I ended up having a back to school flag football tournament where teams brought in school supplies, backpacks for the kids, and that was a big success. In which, fast forward, it's just so much stuff I enjoy doing.
If you look away, you might miss what you never knew you would see. For what you thought lived in that abyss emerged bright as the sun. Don't look away. Don't be afraid. This light, black light, won't burn you. It won't spurn you, but it won't return to that place where people saw what was said. It will instead flood your life with pictures of the possibilities, with clips of the realities, with footage of the victories. Don't look away. For if your eyes stay, you may be warmed, be reformed by the light, be enjoined in the light. Deep, rich, smooth, encompassing, black light.
To be born into any society's most vulnerable population means that whatever or any of society's structural weaknesses, you're going to feel the impact of those the most. And from the beginning of your life, you'll spend your time trying to navigate through the worst possible effects of any of society's weaknesses or ills. And that'll be a tough conversation because you'll have to explain that from a point of view where other people don't necessarily live. So they will recognize, other populations will recognize that issues exist, but they may not recognize the impact of it like you will. So sometimes your conversation may seem a little blown out of proportion, or it seems like you might be taking things the wrong way. And that makes it tough to establish common ground with other individuals. Even people who might be involved in the push for social change, there's still going to be some barriers there. So
the moving. I've moved around every bit once for every year of my life. I'll be 20 on Tuesday. So for 20 years, I've moved around at least once. The discrimination and stuff is worse up there than it is down here. To be completely honest. I want to say maybe my first 48 hours up there, this lady told me I stole some chapstick, and she tried to frame me for shoplifting.
Wow.
At a grocery store.
Wow.
So, nah, it was, like I said, it was just mind blowing, because I remember hearing my parents talk about stuff like that, having to grow up, and my mother watching her grandfather get discriminated against, or somebody racist calling her or her family members out of her name, and then I had to live that for 3 months out of my life. Even at 3 years, somewhat, when I was in Ohio, it wasn't as bad though. But to come back down here and I still not experience it. I never experienced it when I was younger down here. Then when I moved back, I never experienced it at all.
Wow.
And that was the craziest part about it all, because I would have thought that I would have got it here first.
So one of my goals is to really like prove the world wrong. Because I mean, I like to sow seeds. I like to, you know, to subtract from my life to add on to other people's lives. Because you reap what you sow. And I mean, I can imagine myself being broke or in a position where I desperately need something or want to do something, and I can't. So I like to be able to bless others. Plus, I know God sees it and He's happy with it and stuff. So, like, we're all equally, like, God gave everybody a gift. Everybody, there's always something that I can do that the next person can't. There's something the next person can do that I can't. And we all had different gifts. So, and bless people's lives, like, for real, bless those, like, that are from, like, because I'm not from the hood or the streets or anything like that. I wasn't raised in that environment, but I understand those who were. Like, their moms might be struggling, that's why they go do what they're doing.
Just being a kid from the West Side, I've seen everything from friends of mine get murdered to guys that's my age doing 10, 20 years to, you know, growing up in a house full of everybody, full of dope fiends. You know what I'm saying? My whole community basically is somebody's on some type of drug, welfare, food stamp, Section 8, something. And me being a part of that, I guess I kind of figured out that it was a better part of life somewhere else. Because it's like, I just was a part of the lost and the forgotten. You know what I mean? I know it's a lot of cats like me that feel lost and forgotten. You know what I mean? And I was like, just thinking like, it was nobody out here as far as a role model that I felt looked like me. You know, it showed me a side of life that you can still have your cake and eat it too. I mean, because I'm from the hood and I like it. Like, I mean, it doesn't, I can't say I don't like it. I love being from the hood. I do, like, and every day, and I'm never gonna ever shy away from that, because we need that. Like, we need somebody that's gonna look at everybody in their face and go, yeah, I'm not from where y'all from, but look at me. Y'all gonna be forced to look at me. But these streets they'll kill you. They'll kill you. If you believe in the streets more than you believe in change or doing something with your life, it's gonna kill you. It ain't gonna lead you nowhere.
So if we could kind of shift that narrative, especially in this day and age of social media, and seeing more positive images, I think that by default, a lot of our African-American men will start to follow down that path.
Yeah, I done been through, you know, I don't even like to say the word, but down, below, and back. That's why I kind of agreed to this. You know, I feel like if people know my story and can really sit down and listen. You know, people know me as, you know, dancing and dancer. I used to love to dance, do routines and stuff with, you know, a variety of my friends. Got into the drug life, started selling drugs. Sold drugs for years, did 3 years. I went to prison 3 times. First time I went, I did probably close to 3 years. Second time I went, I probably did like a year and a half. Last time I went is probably like 8 to 10 months, something like that. From there, I decided that that wasn't a life I decided to, you know, wanted to live. once I got out, it's hard to get jobs, man. You got felony charges, and it's hard to get jobs. So now it calls you to go out there and do what I felt like I knew the best, get back out there selling drugs again. And it landed me back where I didn't want to be at again. But anyway, as time went on, I got out. My last bid I did, I think it was in 07. I got out in 08. I truly decided I didn't want to live that life again. So I moved away to Baltimore. I stayed in Baltimore about a year and a half. I started working in a barbershop in Baltimore, Townsend. And that's where I kind of decided, Lord gave me the skills of cutting hair years ago. Because that's what I used to do before I started selling drugs. And then the drugs took over, more money, how it is. So I actually started, the street life selling drugs or whatever to actually try to get me money to go to barber school. So I started, selling a little bit, trying to make a little money or whatever. But even in the midst of doing that, I always told myself, don't get too deep in it. Like, I got deep in it, but I want that type to do with other drug dealers done. I made a lot of money by being in the clubs, and I'm in there dancing, hitting the floors, getting dirty. I did different things. I always looked out for family, friends, people that didn't have. Always been a giver. And it's just something that, I really didn't, I didn't look for a future into that.
For me, it upholds a responsibility that I am my brother's keeper. And when I see my brothers in a positive light, when I see them building, working, and thriving to build something great in the community, that gives me the obligation also to do better. Prime example, I think we in the world saw President Obama over the last 8 years. We saw him in a positive manner. We saw him lead his family well. That was the number one thing. If nothing else is remembered by America, we saw a man who was African American, uphold family values, uphold moral values. And that gave us a positive image to go to. We need more of that. We need more of those stories told.
You should see them swinging brown arms and holding the hands of beloveds, walking halls of wisdom, factories of fantasies, dormitories of dreams, palaces of purpose and promise, courtyards of conquerable measure, praying that it can happen. It will happen for them and their beloveds. You should see them. Bright grin, dark skin, soul within, writhing to win. Bracing for the exposure, winning will require. Don't blink. Keep moving. Stay thinking. Eyes forward. Lights, camera, action.
I messed up my life so bad. At one time, I can remember sitting on the porch or coming home and she's sitting on the porch. You're gonna have to excuse me because this would always get me every time I try to tell it. I remember coming home and seeing her and my son sitting on the porch, and I knew I had messed the money up. Lights were off. And I just felt so bad when I pulled up, and I'm like, man, you got to get this thing together. And we had to go stay with my aunt, my sister-in-law, somebody. I had to stay with somebody until next week check came in so I could pay the light bill to get the lights back on. But I look at those situations like that, and that's why it made it easier for me when she went to school, for me to, whatever it took, you know what I'm saying? Just like now with the business we started, whatever it takes, you know what I'm saying? Tanisha's gonna be taken care of, period. He had a lot to do with it. I came home one day, and I can remember I came home, I was drunk, I was high, and I was like, and I saw him, he was just like, Daddy, Daddy, so happy to see me. And I'm like, he don't even see me, you know what I'm saying, what's going on with me right now. He just see me as daddy right now. But as he get older, he gonna see, you know, daddy, how drunk, you know what I'm saying? What? And I said, you know, it's too many negative influences out here for him that can guide him in the wrong direction without me contributing to it. And that really was a time in my life where, I mean, I still did a little bit of dirt and stuff, but I kept it away from him. And I always try to show him what a man's supposed to be doing. But like I said, as he got older and I got older, I just understood that, you know, like I said, I didn't want to be a contributing factor to him thinking that, okay, you're a black man, you got to hit the streets, you got to sell drugs, you got to do this in order to make it. I want him to see me working hard, getting up every single day, early in the morning. When I put my wife through school, I was working 2 jobs. Actually, at one time I was actually working 3 jobs. I went to work in the morning driving the truck. I got off work. I worked at a local restaurant. And anybody that know me know what it was, 'cause I worked there so long. But I worked there from 5 to 11. Then I would leave there and go to the club and be a bouncer at the club and security till about 2 o'clock in the morning. Get back up in the morning and do the same thing.
Oh, wow.
I did it for a while.
What does it mean to you that you did that? How did it make you feel during that time?
During that time, I was tired. Wore out, you know what I'm saying? But I knew, as long as she keep a 4.0 GPA, I worked 6 jobs. You know what I'm saying? And I knew that, you know what I'm saying, she was so immersed in her studies and stuff, and she was so smart. I'm like, you know what I'm saying, whatever I got to do, you know what I'm saying, to get her through this, you know what I'm saying, we gonna go through this together. You know, so I could have been back where I was, you know what I'm saying. I see people that were doing the things I was doing, and I mean, death row, dead already, you know what I'm saying. One of my best homeboys that we was in, where we grew up at, selling drugs together, doing the whole thing. Another testament to how much my wife and son mean to me now is somebody broke in his girlfriend's house, stole his safe. He had like $25,000 in the safe. He came to get me, and I wasn't stable back then. My mind won't. If you'd have said, man, look, we gotta go get homeboy, come pick me up, he wouldn't even have to pull the trigger. I'd have pulled the trigger myself for him. I wasn't home. I was with Tanisha and Kendrick. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing that saved me. I know that because if I was there, I'd be like, yo, let's go get him. I mean, it wouldn't have been a second thought. And back then, I didn't really think about the consequences of my actions. I just did it. And I thank God now that he's given me a spirit of discernment to sit back, weigh the consequences before I go and do something.
It's like, I want to do something different. My second go round in prison, I decided that I wanted to be myself instead of this, you know, ego, you know, I had going on within myself. I wanted to be Adam. So I decided to change. And I ended up getting in this program, and the program said that, you know, if I were to finish school and get my degree and stuff, they would help me out. So I decided to do that. Actually, I'm in 2 schools. I go through Pitt Community College, but I'm in Mitchell's Beauty Academy. I'm a cosmetologist, and I also do business marketing as well. And so initially I started business marketing, and so I always cut hair when I was younger and stuff, because I actually went to school before I went to prison the first time in Durham, and I never finished. I only stayed for like 4 months, but it was always something that I liked. And so I ended up getting a tattoo with clippers and stuff up here and stuff. And so when I was in prison, it was something that was always irking my nerves, like, cause all my tattoos got meanings. And so it's like, this tattoo of these clippers stuff got a meaning and stuff. So I'm like, dang, it's like, I never finished that, you know? So it's like, it's frivolous if it's there, and I never accomplished it. So I felt like, yo, I just need to finish it. And so when I came up to Greenville, Action Barber School had already started, so I would have had to wait, you know, to start it. So I'm like, dang, well, I need to do something. So just so happened I seen cosmetology, so I said, well, dang, I could kill the game if I, you know, get in cosmetology. I could do men and women hair, and you know, get a broader audience, you know. And so that was my plan. That's what I did. I just hope for the best and everything. And, you know, since I've been up here in Greenville, it's like everything has been presenting itself accordingly, and it's good things. And so I got to keep on going with it, you know. if I'm winning, I gotta keep winning. It means I gotta keep putting myself in position to win, and I owe all that to my past. You know, the things that I did, and even my family, you know, stuff like that. My daughter was born when I was in prison. She was born August the 8th, 2010. And so I didn't see her like for like that first week. And so I know my mother, my daughter's mother, they would call and say, she looked just like you, she looked just like you. And I'm like, ain't no way I got me a daughter. I can't even believe this, you know. After all the stuff I've been doing, then I got a daughter now. And so when she came to see me that first day, like my first time holding her, she just a little baby and she just as black as me. And so I'm like, oh yeah, it's mine all day. And she was just staring at me and stuff. And so I was wondering, it was just like how she was staring at me, it was just this vibe, you know, it's like something just came into me from her. And so it's like, I was like, yeah, I gotta do something different. Like this is my little baby right here. Like I gotta show out for her. I gotta be able to provide a foundation for her. I gotta leave a legacy behind. So when I die, you know, my name live on through her, and she know this is what her daddy did for her and stuff. So it's like, you gotta stand on a firm foundation. You have no time for error. It's like, cause people are looking to you for insight or verbally or mentally, you know, everything you do must be precise. And even though we ain't perfect, so we can't be precise, but you know, if you know you got people who paying attention to you and they look at you as a hero, you got to smile when you at the worst times, you know. And so being Adam is a lot to me. It means like change. It means it means like I really can't explain it.
You know, yeah, my daughter, man, you know, changed my life, you know. Like, she really changed my life for the better. Made me more motivated, you know, to accomplish everything I want to do. Finish tasks that I was starting to slack off on, and just put things in a new light for me. You know, like, oh, okay, like I'm not doing it just for me no more. I'm really doing it for her. Truly, I've been wanting to go into law any way possible since I was little. My mom, like I said, my mom was a correctional officer, so when me and my sister were small, they gave us, just for being their sons, they gave us little badges, you know. So I had like this little badge in my wallet. It was a real little badge too, so it was always cool to me, you know. And then actually starting to grow up, be a teenager, go out, experience a lot of things I had with cops negatively, honestly. Seen a lot of problems we face. You know, I've seen a lot, good and bad. So it just made me really want to, you know, be that voice, be that change, and really just hopefully, you know, I could bring something to the table, you know, to change how people look at law enforcement.
Then my son watched it, see me reading the Bible, see me reading the book. See kids watching. I can't get mad to him to read when I don't read. I can't get mad to study and he don't see me. Well, you put remote control. He see me washing the car. Press washed the house yesterday. You know, he stayed in the house the whole while. My wife called him, you checked on your dad? No, he's still outside. I could have fought the lie to anything. But it's just that a lot of things that my mom and dad done real good. Don't get me wrong. They made a lot of sacrifices. And I owed it to them. So we held accountable to things that we're in life. I didn't get it by myself. I can't sit there and say, you know, man, mom, dad, I can't use them words. Because they still living. They might not say, boy, I'm proud of you. They proud of me because I'm doing the right things. They got a brother. They're the oldest. So I'm planting seeds of like, well, my brother don't do that. See, he can't say I do these things. And these ain't by choice. These decisions I have made upon myself.
I heard a couple people told me how they stepped out on faith and to get their own barbershop. So that's what I decided to do. I just said, yo, I'm going for it, man. So I just jumped out there, pursued to get my own barbershop, and within a months, 2-3 months, I ended up getting my own. I got True Blends. You know, I always put God first in everything I do, everything that I do. I know without God there's nothing possible. You know, I just thank God for just allowing me to be one of the ones to come out of that. You know, because, you know, ain't too many drug dealers or too many people that live the life I have lived that can be right here now talking about it and say that, you know, they made a big change and God was a part of that. Now being a family man, somebody can say, well, now I am a husband, I am a father, I am a business owner, I am a minister. You know, I love to talk about God. I love to talk about hope and, you know, faith and, you know, grace, mercy, and, you know, I like to pour out on them particular things. Trials, tribulations, I don't run from. Storms, I don't run from. I just learned that there's something in a hard or a bad day. There's something in that day God is trying to show me. There's something about that day I got to figure it out. You know, God want me to share something.
I kind of I had my fun at an early age. I used to get suspended from school. Like, I used to wild at a young age. I used to get in a lot of trouble. And I'm glad I did that, because even at this age I'm at now, I'm really learning, like, the hard way. Like, it's gonna come times where you just gotta chill and you gonna, because the tough times is worth it, because it's like you get paid, not even so much as paid, but it like pays off. I just learned to keep my head up, for real. Learn how to keep my head up and to really like put a goal and to focus on what's important.
There is a mentality that is trying to be pushed on the black men, not the black community. They don't care about the black community.
No, they don't. They sure don't.
Their concern is the black man.
Yeah.
You understand? There's a mentality that they want to push on us. If you want to succeed, you have to make yourself appear to be comfortable to them, or you have to make people around you comfortable. But see, that is the fear. Your discomfort then lets me know that my spirituality is exactly where it is supposed to be. If by my very presence there are certain things you will not do, that lets me know that I am more powerful than anything you have ever met. And if I use it in the right way, then others might see that light and turn theirs up on 10 also. Now, if the multitude of black men would turn their shine up on 10, we would burn out all the foolishness that has been pushed, because it is all propaganda. I'm a great father. I know there are those of you that are fantastic fathers, those that I know personally. So then why would I even sit back and allow somebody to say that the black family has no father? How can you be a family if there's no father? A family is a complete unit.
It sure is.
But I need you to understand that I love to be hated. Meaning that when people come in and they hear me talking, they say, he's so bougie. He think because he got a little business and he got a little money, he just doesn't. Baby, yes, I do. I feel fantastic about me, but I will not dim my light so you can feel comfortable in the propaganda that has been pushed on you by people who are afraid of who I am when I am behaving as my true self. I am the keeper of the gate, and it is my job on a daily basis to help you see that you are not performing at the level that is conducive to perpetuating the legend of the black man.
Progress, blackness, proud blackness. Like, I don't care what nobody has to say about me or nothing. As long as you look at me and you go, that's a proud black man. That's it.